A third Minions movie has hit theaters, and I've got my thoughts right banana. Now. Right now. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell, here with my thoughts on Minions and Monsters, the third Minions film and the seventh featuring those little yellow creatures that everybody's aunt loves, but that I famously have loathed in every one of their previous cinematic adventures. In my review of Minions: The Rise of Gru, I suggested that they should submit that movie for Best International Feature representing the country of hell. I said that calling it lowest common denominator was an insult to math, and I said that the film was one of the 7 signs of my own personal apocalypse. So while I don't prejudge any movie specifically before I see it, it's pretty safe to say that I was not particularly looking forward to this screening. Now, one thing that I did not know going into this movie is that Minions and Monsters features an entirely different group of minions than the ones we saw in the previous films. I guess I'm exposing myself as a little outdated and minionist here, but they all look the same to me. The 2 new main minions are James and Henry, and we learn in the movie's framing device that this is the story of how they became 2 of the most influential figures in Hollywood history. Now, the whole first scene of the movie is set inside of a film museum, and inside that museum, there is an exhibit for Jaws, which is my favorite movie of all time. There's an exhibit for E.T. There's a famous 70s filmmaker on display in a glass case. And if you recall, back when the last Minions movie came out, there was a scene where Gru and the Minions went into a movie theater that was showing Jaws and cleared that theater out with a fart bomb. And I thought at the time that, well, at least it felt like I was being personally targeted by the Minions. And when this scene started, I braced myself because it seemed like perhaps they were individually attacking me once more and we're going to dismantle the movies and things that I love. But nothing like that happened, and instead the action turned to the main story, which is set in 1920s Hollywood. While searching for a new evil master, the Minions discover the early era of silent filmmaking and soon become movie stars. Henry and James, the new Minions, decide to make their own film called Minions and Monsters. How meta. And they summon a Cthulhu-type little demon named Goomy to help them find other monsters to feature in the movie. What ensues is naturally a bunch of mayhem, including an attack from a giant orange ball of slime covered in eyes. And this movie really does have all the makings of an absolute disaster. I mean, the Minions in Hollywood going through, potentially, maybe even literally crapping on everything that I love about movies. This movie could very well be the biggest Minion middle finger of all time. But even though I prepared myself for the worst, this movie went far beyond anything that I could have expected, because as the Minions did this big chase scene through Hollywood that featured all of these classic movie stars and references to some of the best movies of all time, I found myself sitting there thinking, oh my God, I don't hate this. As a matter of fact, I was kind of enjoying it, and it wasn't just that there were movie references. I mean, the movie references were actually pretty clever, but I couldn't just solely be entertained by seeing things that I know on screen. It was the fact that the movie had a story. Like, there was a plot and a main goal, and then that plot was subdivided into an A plot and a B plot that had consistent characters and things that they wanted, and, you know, the things that movies have. This movie, unlike the other Minions movies, actually had that. It wasn't sophisticated storytelling, but it was storytelling, a huge leap forward from the other Minions films, where the plot was basically just an excuse for the Minions to show their butts, dance, sing, and hit each other. However, as the chaos grew and the action got more and more over the top, the other shoe dropped, and I finally realized that I was actually still kind of liking it. For the first time, I actually found some of the slapstick humor amusing. I mean, there's a lot of DNA from classic cartoons in some of these sequences, and there were even a lot of jokes that were clever in their own right, including a ridiculously lowbrow Citizen Kane gag that, I have to admit, made me laugh. After a decade or more, really, of not understanding what people liked about the Minions or what made them funny, I actually found myself not questioning all of the life choices that had brought me to that exact moment in my life. And right now you're probably wondering, okay, Dan, when are you going to drop the joke? Obviously you hated this movie. It's a Minions movie and you hate the Minions. Or maybe you're wondering, hey, wait a minute. Did Dan fall and suffer some kind of injury going into the theater that has taken away the Dan Murrell that we know and put in his place the Dan Murrell that is sitting here and talking to you on camera right now? And to that I say, of course I'm joking. I didn't trip and fall going into the theater. I actually kind of legitimately enjoyed a Minions movie. And you're probably asking yourself what I've been asking myself all night, which is how the hell did this happen? Well, part of it may be that this Minions movie does have a slightly different creative team behind it than the last one. Pierre Coffin, who voices the Minions, did not write or direct either The Rise of Gru or Despicable Me 4, the last two movies with the Minions, but he did direct and co-write this one along with writer Brian Lynch, who, yes, also co-wrote the first Minions movie, but in addition was a writer on the Secret Life of Pets films, which are way better than the Minions movies and I actually liked. And as weird as it sounds to sit here and analyze the actual narrative and structure of the plot of a Minions movie, it actually does have narrative and structure and some supporting characters that I thought were pretty memorable, including Christoph Waltz as the Hollywood director who discovers the Minions, Jeff Bridges as twin good cop, bad cop studio executives, and Jesse Eisenberg as a space robot. Don't worry about it. One of the things that aggravated me the most about previous Minions movies is that all of the noise and all of the lame jokes and stuff were in service of nothing. The plot didn't matter. The movie didn't really matter. But here, this film has an actual story, one with an end goal and hopes and dreams and character development and stuff like that. Something I never thought that I would see in a Minions movie and that I was shocked to find. It also has a really good musical score from composer John Powell. That's right, How to Train Your Dragon, John Powell. That removes the need to insert random pop songs every 5 minutes. I actually can't think of one time where that happens. And a lot of the jokes are rooted in what is obviously a love of cinema, packed with references that cinephiles will love that will completely fly over the heads of the younger kids in the audience, which is a surprise because jokes in Minions movies usually go under the seats of the younger kids in the audience. In other words, Illumination obviously at some point decided to treat this Minions movie like an actual movie instead of some kind of a psychological experiment to see how long it would take for anyone over the age of 6 years old to go clinically insane in the theater. And if you think you're shocked, imagine how I feel. Leading up to the release of this movie, anytime somebody said, Dan, why are you even going to see Minions and Monsters? Why are you going to subject yourself to that torture? I'd say, well, hey, you never know. Who knows? Maybe it'll surprise me. But honestly, between you and me, I never thought that was an actual possibility. I fully expected for this review to basically be therapy that you pay me for with your time and engagement, allowing me to vent my frustration over the most miserable 90 minutes I'd spent in a theater all year. But I walked out of Minions and Monsters a little dazed, not because of how bad it was, but because of how bad it wasn't. And I don't think this is a case where I was expecting an absolute flaming dog turd, and instead it was just a dog turd, and I was like, oh, actually, no, that's pretty good. I think it's a legitimately okay movie. I mean, bordering on good. Is it a masterpiece? No. Is it one of my favorite movies of the year? No. Is it a movie that I'm just going to throw on randomly of my own volition? Probably not. But the thought of rewatching it doesn't seem like actual torture to me. And if I were to rewatch it right now, there are honestly a few parts that I would look forward to seeing again. And for the first time, I think for any movie with Minions in it, at least since I've been reviewing movies, I also wouldn't mind the idea of taking kids to see it. I mean, in the past, the idea of like taking my nephews to see a Minions movie to me seemed like borderline negligence on my part, but I don't think that that would actually be a terrible thing. Now, there are probably better movies for them out there, but this one isn't like destructive like I thought the other ones were. And so with profound surprise, I am now going to say a sentence that in my last Minions movie review, I said I'd hoped to say about that film, but never thought I would actually say it. You know, in the past, Minions movies really haven't been my thing, but gosh darn it, this one really turned it around. So on my personal scale, despite the fact that I did still have some residual Minions loathing during the film, I have to be honest with myself and with you and say that I wouldn't mind rewatching this movie, which means it actually creeps over the line and puts a toe into the it's good category. And if you're a believer in signs of the apocalypse and you have an emergency bunker, now might be the time to climb in.
Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
So those are my thoughts, shocking most of all to me, about Minions and Monsters. And now that I found a Minions movie that I actually kind of enjoyed, I guess that means everyone else is probably going to hate this one. But what do you think? Are you going to head out to see Minions and Monsters this holiday week? Or are you going to steer clear like I thought I probably would have if I didn't have a review channel on YouTube? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned right here for the latest in movie news, reviews, box office, and more. I'm prepping my video on the best movies of 2026 so far. This one won't be on it, but it won't be at the bottom of the list, which is, again, pretty surprising for me, and a bunch of other stuff. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I upload new videos. But most of all, thank you for watching this video. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.